Just gotta wait for this. Alright, audience, we'll see you in a moment. Get ready. Alright. That there. That there. And we are going. Alright, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. We'll go 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody, to Geekvice episode 158, proving any vice with enough geek can become a virtue. My name's Morph. That man's Kip. Good evening, Kip.
Good evening.
How are you doing this evening? Our first podcast of 2017. Um, that's got to feel good, right?
It does feel pretty good. I'm just, worried that I'm not going to wake up tomorrow morning when I'm supposed to go to work since I haven't woke up before 10 o'clock in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's going to be a rough one.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah, yeah, I ended up taking off this entire last week, but that was mainly because of a sick kid. So,
Yeah, so there was no sleeping in with that going on.
no, not really, not really. And you never realize, it's as a parent, you kind of like it when your kid's sick over a holiday break because then they're not missing any school. But
Right.
on the flip side of that, that kind of ruins your holiday break because
I can only imagine.
it sure limited the things we could do. But that just meant we got to play a lot more board games.
Which is always good.
Yeah, which we're going to start off with that topic this week. We've got both board games and movies, and of course we have to have board games because we're Geekvice and we like playing board games. But I kind of want to start this off with the fact that my wife, who mocked me for playing board games at lunch at work and laughs when we wanted to do tabletop day at Red Crow this last April, and always likes poking fun at me when Kip and I get together for a gaming day, even though that's very few and far between anymore.
No
Um,
kidding.
but just getting 5 or 6 people around to play a board game and to be playing for 4 to 5 hours, um, she would always laugh at me and make fun of me for that. I think I am slowly converting her into a board gamer.
And I think that's amazing, to be honest with you.
Well, and I think it's because she didn't realize the games that were out there and the games that are actually a lot of fun to play, but don't involve. They're not Trouble. They're not Sorry. They're not Clue. They're
And they're
not.
not the top geeky.
Yeah, they're just fun to play. And we for Christmas we got a bunch of games, and one of the games we got was Ticket to Ride. And she'd never played this before, and the only reason I suggested getting it was because it's about trains, and my youngest son loves trains. Just absolutely adores them. So why not? This would be something that he could see and play with trains as he's playing the game. Worked out great. She loved the game. Of course, I won. I think she said because I didn't explain the rules well enough, but I think it was more just the fact that um, she just didn't interpret what I was saying correctly. We got to the point where you had finished your one destination and you're drawing additional ones,
Uh-huh.
and I told her you can keep whichever ones you want. You have to keep at least one, but draw three, pick however many you want to keep, and then keep them. Well, she read that as you could only like you want to keep ones that you're trying to get, not necessarily ones that you already have. And apparently she drew a couple that she could have kept because she already had those routes done in her first one.
Oh.
And I'm like, well, at what point did you think that's not what you wanted? I mean, you want to get that route and you have it. I mean, how hard is that? Um, I also I realized afterwards we kind of played it. We were trying to play it quick, or I was trying to get it set up quick, so I didn't go through and like read all the rules specifically. I kind of went off my memory, and it's been a while since I played Ticket to Ride, and I think I screwed up on a couple of parts where if you draw a wild card from the five that are face up, the five train cars that are face up, if you draw one of those, that's the only card you can draw. I think I screwed that up.
Right.
Um, but some things that really weren't game breaking, if anything, they just sped up the game a little bit. So, but she finished. Well, we both got caught off guard by Reese, our oldest son, getting rid of all his train cars first, and both of us needed. She needed one more card to be able to complete her last destination, and she didn't get it on her last turn after he went out of train cars. So um, that kind of sucked for her. She lost like 10 or 15 points from that one. So that's a doozy, but
Yeah,
overall,
that's a killer when you lose. It not only do you not get the points, you lose those points as well.
right. Right. And that kind of sucked, but she said when she got done, she's like that was a lot of fun. She wants to play it again. So, um, I I'm excited to see her play that one again. We didn't have time to play it again right then. That's a little bit longer of a game. Takes a little bit. Well, it takes anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes to play.
Right.
But when you're first trying to learn the rules, it's a little bit slower getting going. So it took a little bit longer. We didn't have enough time to play again that night, but it's she definitely wants to play it again. So that is, I call that a win.
I call that a win as well because I cannot get my wife to play any board games.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say the only reason that I'm getting her to play them is because the kids are playing them. And if
Ah,
I get
well,
both kids to play them, and it's me and two kids, and I just look at her and I'm like, "You want to play too?" She's like, "Well, sure." She can't sit out and look like the fuddy duddy that won't play, because then how are you going to get the kids to keep playing these things?
yeah.
Uh,
Then they'll just grow up thinking mom's no fun.
exactly. So the other game that we got, and of course this is going to be backwards on the screen, but is called Ghost Fightin' Treasure Hunters. This game is a cooperative um, ghost fighting treasure hunting game. Go figure. The title is not cryptic.
Oh, come on.
So the tagline on the front of the box is it's everybody versus the ghosts work together to win. Now I have to give a shout out to the game is by Brian Yu and published by Mattel Games. It's played for 2 to 4 people. It says ages 8 to up, but my 4-year-old can play this game. There's no reading involved. It's just logic and common sense. So he
So
knows
I
the
can
rules.
play.
Yeah, he knows the rules better than any of the rest of us. And the game is played super quick. It's played in only 30 minutes. And you could probably even get it done in less time than that. Rules extremely simple, easy to learn, and I have to say that the box. Most people I know take their boxes apart um, and put the in like create all new stuff to put them in and all that. This box does not need it. This box is perfectly set up to hold the pieces all nice and neat, hold the dice all nice and neat, ghosts and hauntings. Um, Even the little gems are just little cardboard tokens, and they have a slot that perfectly holds them. And then the game board sits on top of that and holds everything in. So even when the box is flipped on its side to put on our bookshelf, nothing falls out of place. Nothing gets all mixed up. It's great.
I love that. I like when they design the insert well.
Yeah. And I mean, yes, it's the cheap plastic insert, but if the cheap plastic holds, I'm fine with it. Now, at some
Yeah.
point, I'm sure that's going to break down when the kids like are running around and step on it. But you know, yeah, we'll use it while we got it. So basically, the way this game is played is you're kind of put in a mansion. There's a house is the floor plan that the game board that you're working with, and each of the rooms have different letters on them, letters A through L, and the rules tell you start ghosts in 4 rooms, so you start with 4 ghosts. The idea, and there's 8 jewels. There's a jewel in 8 different rooms. The
Okay.
idea, you win the game when your treasure hunters collect all the jewels and get them out of the room or out of the mansion. You lose if 6 hauntings appear up on the board at the same time. So, and hauntings come by if there's 3 ghosts in a room. That those 3 ghosts become a haunting in the room. It requires 2 people to get rid of a haunting. It requires 1 person to get rid of a ghost. Um, Simple things like that. You're rolling dice to see how far you move. But the trick is when you're rolling the dice, the movement dice, they have little ghosts on them. Those ghosts mean you have to draw a card, which is a ghost card. Ghost cards look something like this, and they have a letter on them as well. So that corresponds to the letter of the rooms. And you put a ghost before you even move. You put a ghost in that room, and and then you move your token, fight a ghost, collect a jewel, get out of the house, do whatever. Simple game. The fun part, fun or frustrating part of it is there's this card in here, which is a shuffle card. So when you draw that, you have to shuffle up all your cards. You shuffle up all the discard pile of your rooms that have come up, and now they could come up again. So that kind of sucks. But really fun. It's the first time we played it. We played it 5 times and we lost all 5 times.
Dang.
Um, that's when I had posted on Facebook that we had played this game and it was super hard. And it was hard, but it wasn't like you were losing. We weren't losing because we didn't know what we were doing. We were losing because we were getting bad draws. It was kind of a little bit of a luck of the draw on where the ghosts show up, but also a little bit on we didn't quite approach the getting rid of the ghosts in the right way. We weren't moving through rooms quick enough. Some of it rolling dice to get rid of a ghost. You have what is it? You have a three out of 6 chance to remove a ghost. All
Okay.
right, 1, 2. Oh shit! I dropped the dice. Um, yeah, 3 out of 6 chance to remove a ghost. So, you got 50% odds to remove a ghost when you roll the dice. Not terrible, but we in those first few games we were having a terrible time moving through the board. Once we kind of got used to the playing and how to use the rooms to your advantage, because you can move a lot quicker if you go between rooms, and you find all the doors that are in between the rooms and move that way. You can move across the board a lot quicker, which then aided us, and now we've won. We played twice today and won both times today. Conley, my 4-year-old, loves this game so much that if he can't watch TV or he can't play on his DS, he looks at me and goes, "Can we play the ghost fighting game?"
I
Sure, buddy. Sure.
love that. I love
So yeah, he loves this game. It's a lot of fun. There is an advanced game that can be played, which makes it a lot harder because it You get this card, which locks doors, and you get cards like this one that is a draw two and shuffle the deck card. So you would draw two ghost cards and then reshuffle the deck. So you're just adding ghosts in a lot quicker. So that's, I think at some point we'll probably end up trying that one, but we'll probably try that one when we have 3 or 4 people playing and not just 2 people. Because the more people you have, the better your odds of winning the basic game are. Just on the sheer fact of you can spread out and get 8 gems a little bit quicker. But in the same sense, you also draw twice as many ghost cards.
Yeah.
So if the deck is unfaithful to you and you end up having to shuffle a lot, you could draw the one game that we played. We had in 3 turns, we had a haunting, a room that had no ghosts, and then 3 turns later there was a haunting there. So it can snowball, kind of like pandemic.
Okay.
You know, when things can snowball and the disease spreads farther, and
Yep.
all of a sudden you think you're winning, and then all of a sudden you've lost. That can happen in this game too. So, but it is Kip. If we still worked in the same building, this is a game that I would bring in for lunches because it is played that quick and is that much fun.
Well, I would definitely love to play this game. It sounds like a lot of fun. Um, I like cooperative games that don't cause somebody to want to just take control and be the boss. And this
Yeah,
one sounds like it's one of those that wouldn't happen.
it 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 can a little bit,
Okay.
but but only if but only in the sense of trying to figure out where to go next. And you can have like, I mean, we kind of talk to some of it is depending on what people see and what their strategies are. But since it is cooperative, you really need to talk about what you're going to do because you need everybody on the same page. And
Yeah, I don't mind the talking. It's I don't know if you've ever played. Well, Pandemic is a good example of that, and Forbidden Island is a good one. There's always that opportunity for one person to just kind of say, okay, on your turn you do this, and on your turn you do that, and I like them when people can kind of act. We talk it out, but you can kind of figure things out for
yeah,
yourself.
this one can fall into that trap if you have the wrong people involved. Um, but I think any cooperative game, if you have that type of person there,
Uh
they're
huh.
gonna they're gonna railroad that and turn it into something like that. That could happen here, but it's pretty easy to combat it because this game is so simplistic. It's not overly complicated. So, um, yeah, Forbidden Island can get a little tricky in the sense of where you're going, and this one can too, and in kind of that same idea. But it's pretty easy to stand up to somebody if they try to do that in this game. So
Okay.
it's definitely one we should try. So, but you got a new board game last week. Have you got to play it yet?
I got to play it as the solo game. It's called Police Precinct. I'll put the box up there, and it's also a cooperative game. It's for 1 to 6 players. It says it takes about 90 minutes. It's recommended for ages 14 and up, which I think is probably pretty accurate for the ages. But I think a fairly intelligent younger kid probably could pick this up pretty easily. So what you are is you're either a police officer or a detective. You've got hell, I can't remember, 8 characters to choose from. I think it is. Let me pull that bad boy out and see if I'm right. Oh, it's more than that. Oh, there's 8 cards, so there's 16 total characters. So each card, like this one, has the police officer, or this one's the inspector on one side, and her male cousin on the other side. So, which I think they did that for one major reason, and that is there are car tokens with the last name on them.
Oh, nice.
So if you, instead of having to print 16 of these, you only print 8 of them, and the cousins have the same last name, so you can use the same car.
Right.
So that's pretty cool. One thing to note about this game is the game board is freaking huge. I did not measure it myself, but I looked it up, and they said it's 2 foot by 4 foot.
Wow.
It takes up my little dining room table without the leaf in it. It pretty much just takes up the table.
Yeah, that's big. That's big.
And then everybody, has the little their character card in front of them. And then there's extra boards like the evidence board, like you'd have in the police station.
All right.
And then the crime track. So there's not only the big board, you've got these 2 other boards that need to be near it. There's a lot of cards and tokens that also need to be near the board. So make sure you have a big place to play this game, is all I'm going to say. And so what's going on in this game is your city is starting to be overrun with crime. So there's emergencies that pop up. There are street punks that, if enough of them show up on one block, they become a gang that you have to deal with. And there's a murderer. So you've been tasked by the mayor to pretty much clean up the streets. And so you're given, well, not given, you pick a character, and your car, I'll just pull one out of here. You have a choice on your car. So like this one, I'll try to put it up so you can see. It's a plain car. And if you flip it over, as you can see now, it's a marked car. So you have your choice when you pick your character whether you're going to be in a plain car or a marked car, and it makes a difference in the game. If you're a marked car, you're more visible. So basically people get out of your way, so you get to move 3 spaces. If you're in an unmarked car, you only get to move 2 spaces. And that's a big difference. The plus side to being in the unmarked car, since you don't get to move as far, is one of the things you have to do is there's all these evidence cards. When you get to a section where you can draw your evidence cards, say like these are for the murder weapon, you get to draw 1 more if you're in the unmarked car. So that's the balance. You either move further or you get to draw more evidence cards. And that's a big deal because just like I showed you with this board, the evidence board, there are 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11 cards that you have to fill in this board with. And if you can fill all these in before day 16, there's a calendar track on this. Day 16, the murderer comes out. There's actually a murder suspect. If you can get all 11 pieces of evidence before the murderer comes out on day 16, the good guys win. And that sounds pretty simple, except for, I'll just pull out one set of evidence cards here. So you have to have 1 murder weapon to fill in the board. So you have murder weapon cards. And I think there's 8 of them, which sounds great. Sounds like be a piece of cake. Well, out of the 8, only the white one is the actual card you use, and the rest of them just says nothing yet.
Oh,
So you
jeez.
shuffle these, and then when you get to a place, these are placed on a certain spot on the board. Your car has to be in a certain spot on the board to be able to draw this evidence. And then certain things matter, like how many police cars are with you on that street when you go in. Um, there's these police cards that everybody draws. And see, like here, they have this symbol at the top of the card. This one's an emergency light. There's ones with handcuffs and ones with magnifying glasses. Of course, the cards I drew didn't have that. But so other players can take a card. If you're trying to pull evidence, they could take cards that have the magnifying glass on there and pitch them in. And however many magnifying glasses and cars that are with you, and what it says on your character board, like this one, it has a number 2 next to the magnifying glass. That determines how many evidence cards you can draw. So sometimes you'll go in, you only get to draw 2. If you're the unmarked car, you get to draw 3. But anyway, chances are you may just draw all 3 that say nothing yet. And your turn pretty much ended where you didn't find any evidence.
Awesome.
And the beauty of it is they do realize that is a big hindrance. So if you draw, say, like 3, they call these useless cards. You can take 1 and put it in the box, and it's out of the game for the rest of the game. The other 2 get put back into their draw pile, and it gets reshuffled.
Mm.
So it's not like, oh, well, we got to be getting closer because we keep drawing. No, you reshuffle. You could keep shuffling the cards you need down to where you never get it.
Oh, jeez.
Um, it's one of those games where the more you can throw at it, like I said, if you can get people to throw in the cards you need to draw more, the better off you are. Then you can get to the evidence quicker. There's all sorts of... Okay, so I'll just take a step back. This is your traditional co-op game. Your turns happen with 4 steps. Your movement phase, your action phase, and your action could be investigate, which is draw the evidence cards, make an arrest, which you can try to arrest the murderer or the street punks, or you try to... There's these emergency cards. See if I can draw one here. Of course. Here we go. There's these emergency cards with things that, like this one's a traffic accident. So it tells you at the intersection of 4th and Calhoun. You put this card at the intersection of 4th and Calhoun, and nobody can get through, not even you.
Okay.
So you have to basically take care of this emergency so it can continue. So that's one of the things you can do in your action phase. Is this has a number on it? It's a 4, which means you have to roll a die and you got to get a 4 or higher to basically beat this card.
Gotcha.
There's ways to get more dice to roll up your chances. Just like with the investigation, people can throw police cards that have the emergency symbol on it. That adds more dice to your pile. You also can earn donuts just to be completely, within character, I guess you could say.
Right.
And you can play donuts to earn more dice and things like that. So, and once you knock out an emergency, there's things like this one. If we knocked it out, you can either get another donut or you can take another police card. So
Nice.
there's rewards. This emergency card, if you can see, it's green.
Mm-hmm.
There's green, blue, yellow, and red. So if you have cards on the board and you draw another emergency card of that same color,
Mm-hmm.
now it's called urgent. And there's a little urgent token you put on the older card to show that we have a real situation going on. And if you don't get that taken care of, by the time it gets back to the first player, you move the little token up the crime track.
Uh-oh.
And if it gets to cops fail, the good guys lose. So your turn is move, action. We just went through all the actions. Third is you draw a police card, which gives you special powers, like play this card to move any number of police cars to your location kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fourth one is the bad things. So you draw from this incidents cards, and they can be anything from a traffic accident to car thief to even a gas leak. And there are certain things these cards do that can really ruin your day besides becoming urgent. There are some that say until you beat this card, nobody can draw a police card. Or until you beat this card, nobody can play a police card to help you out. That kind of thing. So just like all the other the cooperative games, there are just bad things that happen on everybody's turn. So the more people you have, it feels like the better chance you have, more bad things can happen as well.
Right.
So you just move around the streets, you arrest street punks, you deal with traffic accidents, gas leaks, blah, 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 and find evidence. You're trying to find enough evidence by the 16th day, then you win. If you get all your evidence after the 16th day, then you can make your arrest. And then you got to go to the location of the murderer. If the murderer is amongst street punks, you have to arrest all the street punks before you can arrest the murderer. And then once you arrest the murderer, game over. And with street punks, every time they get brought into the game, you roll a die, and it tells you what block they go on. And if you get 4 street punks on a block, now you have a gang. And then you draw a special gang card, like this one, and it'll say stuff like, while this gang is present, no rewards are given for handling emergencies. So you just beat an emergency and you could get a donut or whatever. Nope, not if this card is still in play.
Oh,
And
dang.
the card does not come out of play when you get the number of street punks under 4. You have to eliminate all 4 of them before this card goes away.
Of course.
So once a gang starts, it makes it difficult. And how you beat a street punk is, say you have 3 of them on this block. You go in and to arrest them. Because there's 3, you have to roll on the dice 3 or higher to beat each street punk. So say you pull into a block, you've got a couple other cops with you, they throw a bunch of arrest cards at you, and you're rolling 6 dice.
Mm-hmm.
If 3 of them have a 3 or higher, you arrest all 3 street punks. If only one of them is a 3 or higher, you only remove 1. And so forth. If you do it and you don't arrest any, you go to the hospital because you got your butt kicked by the... And then
Nice.
you go to the hospital, you don't get to draw a police card, but you still have to draw the bad things card.
Right.
So it's kind of funny in that way. So the ways you lose is the crime track reaches cops fail, or the calendar track reaches cops fail, which is day 22. You lose. The only way to win is to get enough evidence before the murderer shows up that you have him before he shows up, or after he shows up, you actually arrest him. And it sounds easy, but it's not. I played a solo version, and I lost on day 14.
Wow.
Yeah. And the more people are in the game, the less time you have. So a solo game, you start on day one, you have 22 days. Two player, I think, is the same. And then three player, the calendar track starts on the eighth day. Four players, it starts on the 12th. Five players starts on the 14th. Six players, it starts on the 15th. So with six players, you have one day to get all the evidence you need to put this guy away. So
Wow.
chances are a six-player game, you're not going to get all the evidence you need before the murderer shows up. But that's fine. There are variants to this game that are in the rules, like you can actually put in a dirty cop, up to two. There's two dirty cop loyalty cards. So you can make this game a little bit like Battlestar Galactica if you wanted to.
Right.
Um, there's also things that you can do to make the gameplay a little more difficult. Those are in the rules as well. Um, the rule book is 28 pages long. Do not be intimidated by this. These rules are really easy to understand. And a lot of the reasons they're so many pages long is you'll be reading something in there, and there will be a little symbol saying, if you want more details on this, go to page 9, like this one says. And
Mm,
so you'll be reading what to do, and then you can go to another page to get a little bit more in depth in case you have questions about that certain thing. So, yeah, it is 28 pages long, but there's some special rules for Dirty Cop. There's a section on if this is the first time you've played, how to handle the game.
right.
So there's extras in there. Also, the board is double sided. So there is a Unterbelly, which is the second side of this board that has a little bit more difficulty added to it, I guess you could say. So it changes the game just by flipping the board over. Not like Formula D where you flip the board over, it's the same game, just a different layout. It
Right.
changes the game slightly. So
Okay.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, There's special rules for it. There's a whole page on what to do if you flip the board over and play on that game. Um, I I really like this game. Granted, I've only played it the once, but I had a really good time. I was learning the rules and playing it at the same time, and I had a blast. The rules were so easy, I didn't even screw them up. I played the entire game, and then I reread the rules to see where I made mistakes. I didn't make any mistakes, which may be the first time that's ever happened.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, so
I like yeah, and I like rules that are specific. I don't have a problem with rule books that are really big, especially if you get a chance to kind of go through them ahead of time before you're playing with your gaming group. Which this sounds like a perfect one that you really want to read through the rules before you open up the game and sit down with a bunch of people to play. But I like the books that have like, hey, here, this is this symbol, go check out this over here and it'll tell you exactly what this symbol means. Um, Legendary does that with all of their cards as well, where it's got that, it has a symbol and that symbol means something, but you can't always remember what that is. Having that all broken out, separate from everything else, is super handy because you can keep the rule page. The rules just open up to that page, so when you see it, you can be like, "Oh, what did that mean again? Oh, that's this. That's perfect." I
yeah,
like that.
yeah, me too. I like it quite a bit. And these rules, like I said, that I told my wife when I first played the game, I said, I think some very frustrated gamers created this game because the rules are so easy to understand. And for a cooperative game, it's really balanced. You feel like it could go either way. I mean, you've played some of the cooperative games that after a while you've played a few times, you can just kind of kick its butt without,
Yep.
and you have to make the game more difficult to actually feel the tension. This
Yep.
one feels like it could just go either way, depending on how well you roll the dice, what the cards are you draw, that kind of thing. I am curious to play this with a few more people to see what the dynamic is like, because it's a toughie. I'll just go out and say it. It's a tough game to win. Um, there was a couple of times where I thought this game's going to be over before I even get half the evidence I needed, and then some things started going my way, and it's like, all right, I haven't moved the crime track in a few turns, so this is good. And then you'll have the wave where you're moving it almost every time you get to the first player. It's like, crap, there's only 6 spaces. We don't have much to do here. It's
Nice.
pretty cool, and you do feel like there's always an emergency right around the corner. Like there's always something you could be doing instead of looking for evidence. And I think with more people, you could, as a strategy, decide, all right, if you're nowhere near an emergency, go find evidence. Somebody
Right.
else will take care of the emergency that's closer. That dynamic, I think, would come out.
Yeah.
As a solo player, you play with 2 characters, and then you get uh, a plane car, I guess you'd say, with you. So you get a third car that you can move on either one of the players' turns, characters'
Gotcha.
turn, and always have that extra car there for another dice or another card to draw. So at least you had that. But with more people, that car isn't in there, and so wherever everybody drives off to, it's a big board. Like I said, it's 2 foot
Right.
by 4 foot. You could be way over in the corner by yourself and really needing help, and nobody's near you
Yeah.
to bring you help. So you really have to be spatially aware of where everybody is and what you're doing as well, or you could put yourself in a bad situation, end up in the hospital. So pretty cool. I can't wait to get this out more often. I'm playing Thursday at tabletop, hopefully,
Cool.
and I'm going to bring it and see if I can't get somebody to play.
There you go.
So
Sounds like
please bring Synced. I have the second edition. Highly recommend it. It was a Kickstarter. Now it's in the stores. I think it's only like $20, $25.
really.
It's a lot of game for little money. So
Yeah.
go for it. Do
Very
it.
very cool. Very cool. Yeah, and on that same note, anyone out there who is listening to this, if it's Thursday, which would be January. Come on, computer work.
The fifth.
5th. January 5th, then go check out, go to Tabletop, Tabletop Games and Hobbies, and on Metcalf, and go hit up John. You can, or Kip here, and go play Police Precinct with him. So,
Yeah, I'm planning on being there unless things change, because I was supposed to be there last Thursday, and then the people I were going to meet, they all canceled on me at the last moment, and I decided I didn't want to go by myself, so I didn't go. But
there you go. There you go. Now, over this last week, we were on this holiday break, and so believe it or not, I did leave the house and go to the movie theater.
no way.
Yeah, I tried to get, I tried to go see um, Star Wars Rogue One, but I did not get to that. Instead, my wife wanted to take. She thought the kids would enjoy seeing the movie Sing, and it's not a bad movie,
That's not a glowing endorsement, though.
but the problem with this movie, and this movie has a lot of people in it. I mean, it, it's got Matthew McConaughey is the main character. He's the
Please
voice.
tell
It's
me
an
he doesn't sing.
do what?
Does Matthew McConaughey sing?
No, no,
Okay, so that's good.
yeah, no. And so let's see. To explain this movie, basically what it is uh, if you've seen the movie Pitch Perfect, this is kind of like an animated kids version of Pitch Perfect. So the Movie is centered around Matthew McConaughey's character called named Buster Moon, who is an owner of a theater, like a Broadway type theater, a stage performance theater, not a movie theater.
Okay.
And he's basically down and out, has no money, and is trying to come up with this next big thing to basically keep money coming in because he's not paying bills. That's the other thing. He's the main character. He's a sleazy con artist. Like, for a kids movie, this is not really the character you want them looking up to.
Okay.
Um, I mean, he's in the movie. You see him steal electricity from the building next to him, steal water from a water tower, uh, you know, some sort of away from the building. Even one of the other characters who's helping him steal this water looks at him and goes, "Is this legal?" And he's like, "Oh, don't worry about that." So, I mean, for this being a animated kids movie, I mean, this is a kids movie. That's what it's played as. Having this kind of a character as being the main character is kind of shitty. I don't like it. I mean, to me, it didn't seem right. Um, Now, as far as the other, Reese Witherspoon's in it, Seth MacFarlane's in it, Scarlett Johansson, John C. Riley is in it. These guys, and I don't know if it's their voice. I don't know if it's them actually singing. Because what happens is Buster Moon decides, in order to his last ditch effort to save the theater, is he's going to hold a singing competition, a la The Voice or American Idol. And so you have a bunch of people show up, and these are all the people are animals. It's all animals in it. So Buster Moon, Matthew McConaughey's character is a koala, which fits because every time Matthew McConaughey's accent slips back to his normal, southern accent, it kind of fits and almost sounds Australian a little bit. It's because Matthew McConaughey's voice is it's pretty much just one thing.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, you can recognize it in a crowded room.
yeah, I told my wife that the thing that kept me involved in the movie was waiting for him to go, all right, all right, all right. So, and it's not bad. It's not a bad movie. And the songs that they sing, they're all, current pop songs, so it's good right now. But even the kids seem to get a little bored with it. It was a little slow at times. Um, I don't recommend paying the high dollar to go see it in the theater. Just wait till it comes out on DVD, or you can wait till it comes out on Netflix and watch it for free. Um, it's not all bad, and the end, by the end of the movie, the kind of the moral story, the of, hey, even when life has got you down, you keep trying really hard, or even when you're scared of something, you push through that, you persevere, you work hard, and then good things happen. Well, that's great. That's an okay thing, but the way the movie goes through the first half of it, you're just like, this is not really a good role model thing. This is actually lie, steal, and cheat from everybody you can in order to get whatever it is that you want. Um, but
This is pretty
hey,
surprising.
yeah, it just kind of caught me. I was a little surprised by it. Um, Go check it out if you want. Movies sing. Some of the voices you won't actually recognize. I mean, Seth MacFarlane's voice, the character that he plays, is a little mouse, and he actually sings like some like Rat Pack type music, and um, it sounds really good. Had no idea it was Seth MacFarlane until I went and looked it up. So very good stuff. I recommend it, but again, don't pay top dollar to go see this in the theater. It's nothing special, and just wait till it comes out on DVD or Netflix. So
That's interesting. Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's worth watching if you don't have anything else to do. How about that? I would have rather go see Rogue One, but
Yeah, and you should have.
uh, yeah, it's
You're going to have to turn in your geek card if another month goes by and you haven't seen it.
yeah, no kidding. I will agree with you on that one. So, what movie did you go out? Well, you last week we were going to talk about this, so this week we put it here. We've got to talk about this Assassin's Creed movie. You went and saw it, but you haven't played any of the games, right?
I've never played an Assassin's Creed game, but then again, I never played World of Warcraft, and I went and saw Warcraft, so I knew what the hell was going on.
Right.
Assassin's Creed, not so much. I was I wasn't lost, like I have no idea what's going on, but I felt like there was so much backstory that I was completely clueless about.
Really?
So my first thought was, do the video games, I'm asking you this, Morph, do the video games deal with two timelines?
Yes.
So one takes place like present day,
Mm-hmm.
and another one back in like 1492.
Yes, it changes actually between the games. So basically, the premise of the video game and the movie itself is that you are living through using the device called an animus. You are able
Yeah.
to relive events from an ancestor within your heritage. So, um, in the video games, it's about reliving. They basically take a descendant of an assassin from a certain time period, put them into this animus, and have them relive that person's um, memories, basically.
Do they tell you why they want them to do this
In um,
in the video game?
yes, yes, in a sense, in the very first Assassin's Creed game, you're no, not really. You're kind of led to. That's part of the game is figuring out what is actually going on and why, because you've been basically kidnapped. The very first game, you're the present day person. Your present day character is kidnapped and put into this animus, and basically you're having to go through and figure out what you're doing, as well as trying to figure out why they're doing this to you. Um, so there's a little bit of that, and then by the end of that game, you understand. Okay, this is a big battle between the Assassin's Creed and the Knights Templar,
Okay.
and that these two factions were have existed throughout time, and you're there still exists now, and that's who's trying to find these special magical pieces, parts
All right.
referred to as parts of Eden.
So the movie, pretty close. He actually is put to death because he did something, murder or something, and gets the death penalty, and he gets put to death. He being Michael Fassbender.
Right.
And then the next scene, he wakes up in a hospital, of course, strapped to a bed, not knowing what the hell's going on. And then they attach him to the animus, and shit happens, and he's like, "What the hell?" Um, Basically, they're after the apple of Eden,
Yep.
which has the DNA of everybody back then. And if the Knights Templar get a hold of it, they can pretty much wipe out free will and end the Assassin's Creed.
Yes.
So that's what was going on. Um, I can't say I liked the movie, but I can't say it was bad. I can't say like the acting was bad, the writing was bad. I can't say any of those things. What I can say is, have you heard the saying that it's a 5 pound sack full of 10 pounds of shit?
Yes.
That was this movie. They had 2 hours to tell a story, they needed like 6 hours to tell it in. So there was a lot of, ignore the man behind the curtain kind of thing going on in the movie that I wish would have got a little bit more explained. Honestly, I thought if they would have just dealt with 1492 and not the animus and all that stuff, the movie would have really been awesome.
Well,
But
and that's the funny part is because a lot of the complaints of the video games are that they needed to spend less time in present day and more time in the past. And by the time you get to, once you get into the Assassin's Creed 2 type time frame, it's the second, third, and fourth video game. They all kind of deal with one character. They've pretty much done that. They didn't quite eliminate the present day, but they reduced it quite a bit through most of those games.
yeah, I could see why people would complain about that because watching the movie, I was like, his ancestor. I can't remember his name because it really
Is
doesn't fucking.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
It didn't matter. He was just awesome, and going back in 1492 and them doing their parkour and stuff like
Hmm.
this, trying to escape, and that was fun. That was
Yes.
awesome, actually. And then when they would go back to the present day and he's hooked to the Animus and he's actually doing all the moves, that was cool as well. It was while he wasn't hooked up to the machine in present day, dealing with the chick from Batman and stuff like that, you're like, get on with it. I
Right.
don't know what's going on. Go back to the action so I can figure this out. But yeah, I think I'd like to talk to somebody who's played the games and then saw the movie as well because I'd like to see if they liked it or not.
Yeah.
Because I walked out of that movie going, "What the hell was that?" Um, like I said, I can't say it was terrible. All I can say is I didn't like it because I didn't know enough of the backstory.
Right.
So partially on me, partially on Hollywood for trying to put too much into one movie and not really getting everything explained.
Yeah,
But
and that's I was a little worried about some of this, and I don't. I haven't seen it yet, and I'm looking. I want to go see it. I want to see what they did with it because this is a complicated story. The video games have had. Let's see. Here's one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, maybe 10 full games. 10 full games to tweak and correct this storytelling technique. And even even as far as I've played Assassin's Creed Rogue was the last one. I haven't played Unity or Syndicate, which are the last two that have come out. Or I guess Rogue might have come out after Unity. Anyway, I haven't played two of them. They're even then, all of the games still fall into that same trap where you feel like there's something not um, like you need more information on something. But the nice thing about the video game is that you can then go stop doing the main story quest, go find out more information on what the hell's actually going on if that's what you want to know. It's fully in depth. They can't do that in a movie. There's no way to stop the story to trying to give the people the information they need. So I can see this being a problem.
it
Um,
was.
yeah, and that's the idea. So they had they had said that this movie was not going to be connected to the video games in any way. They wanted it was going to be basically a retelling type thing. But the way the video game stories are broken down, you could really do this with any time period. So there's no reason for this thing to be completely disconnected. Um, but it almost makes it sound like they took this and said, "Hey, this game is extremely popular and has a ton of fans. Let's make a movie, and we'll keep the storytelling the exact same way, and we're not going to fix it for anyone who doesn't know anything about Assassin's Creed." And that's kind of a wrong approach to take. You're gonna get some bad reviews for that. And I haven't looked at the reviews for this to see what they are. Um,
I think it got like 18% or something on Rotten Tomatoes.
ooh,
Yeah,
that's not good.
but we went anyway. We figured, hey, what the heck? The trailers look good,
Yeah,
and like I said, the action and everything is fantastic. The acting is great. I just didn't know enough about it, and
right.
for the average movie goer, they're not going to know much about it either. And it was a shame. It felt like a lost opportunity. Uh,
Yeah.
it did make me think maybe I should play these games so I could figure out what the hell was going on. But that seems like a bad reason to pick up a video game so I could understand a movie I just watched. But
Right. Well, I would recommend picking up Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. That one is really good. That's one of my favorite.
that's the one
If
that's on Geekvice Gaming, correct?
Close, it's very similar to that one. The one on Geekvice Gaming is Assassin's Creed Rogue, which
Oh, okay.
it kind of takes place right after Black Flag.
Gotcha.
Um, so that one would work as well because I think the mechanics in that one are almost identical to Black Flag. Um, so I think those are really fun games. If you're looking for a story, if you want a story that is really good, I recommend Assassin's Creed. What is it? 2. Hold on, I'm looking right now. I have them sitting right above my head. Yep, Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed Revelations, and Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Those three games are a singular story told over three games. It goes Assassin's Creed 2, then Brotherhood, then Revelations. That story is really good. A, a really in depth story. Revelations, the last one, kind of deals a lot more with present day than in the past, but it takes place during Renaissance, the Renaissance in Italy. So it's
Cool.
I thought it was a great story, and it's right there at the tops of some of my favorite storytelling in a video game. So that's kind of a bummer. I looked up the scores on Assassin's Creed the movie, and we got 6.6 out of 10 on IMDb, 16% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 36% on Metacritic. Not doing good with reviews, but reviewers aren't ones playing video games either. So I'm kind of curious. It makes me really want to watch this now to see if it has a bigger impact on me since I have played so many of the games and have enjoyed the games so much. So
Yeah, I'd be really curious to hear your impressions of it. So, 6 months from now when it comes out on DVD, tune in to hear Morph's.
right, exactly. Maybe I'll have to try to get to that one too earlier. Might be able to go to the movies this weekend.
There you go.
Might be able to make that happen. So, all right. Well, we didn't spoil anything from that one, and we might once I actually get to see the movie because that'll be far enough down the road that nobody will complain about us spoiling the movie.
Yeah. Plus, if I did spoil the movie, I had no idea what was going on, so I didn't even know I was doing it. So,
Right. Exactly. So, all right. I think that is a good place to wrap up this week. We've gone a little long, but we've covered a lot of topics, a lot of board games, a couple, what, a lot of board games, a lot of movies. Next week we'll have some more stuff for you. I have no idea what it'll be yet, but tune in next week to find out. You
I will
can.
I will talk about my chronicles of swapping out my hard drive on my PS4.
Oh yes, yes. We should talk about that one
Yeah,
next
because
week.
now I have 2 terabytes of awesomeness.
There you go. Yeah, I'll be kind of curious to see how that works. Had a friend of mine across the street got an Xbox One for his kid, and actually put in a 2 terabyte external drive to it. So now he's got the, what is it, 500 gig internal hard drive and a 2 terabyte external hard drive. So he's got 2.5 terabytes.
Yeah, because Xbox One you can't swap the hard drive.
Not
PS
as
PS4 you can't use an external. So
right.
it's it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll be curious to hear how how your process went, and the headaches involved with that next week.
Yeah, if I wasn't so damn lazy, I'd put the links to all the stuff on our Facebook page. I may still do that, just so you can see what I used, and we can talk about it next week.
Let's do that. All right, check out our blog at geekvice.blogspot.com. That's where you can listen to all of our podcasts and see what we're doing. Follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/geekvice. That is the best place to follow us because it has everything. Everything we do goes through the Facebook page. You can also follow us on Twitter. That man over there at Kip Killigan. And you can follow me at Geekvice. So also go subscribe to our YouTube channel, tiny.cc/geekvice. That'll give you notifications of when these videos go live. So for live recordings, and you can come pester and bother us while we're recording, ask us questions, chime in with your 2 cents, and become a full-fledged part of the show. So, and of course, as always, you can email us at geekvice@gmail.com and give us those same kind of complaints. Let us know what we're doing right. Let us know what we're doing wrong. We're looking to make this show as the best we can, and we're making it for you guys. So if there's something you want us to do more of, let us know, and we'll see what we can do. Thanks, everybody, for listening to our ramblings, and we will see you next week.
Later.
This podcast is part of the Podcast Arcade Network.